All right, our next skill is going to be how to roll a slab. And you're going to take that last part of clay. So I took a softball-sized clay ball, cut it in half, made my pinch pot, cut that one half of it into a third, and made my coil. And now I'm using the other part of it to make my slab. Now you want your slabs to be about 1/4 inch thick. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with a ball so that we can get it nice and even. And I like to take my ball and then slap it a little bit between my hands, switching hands back and forth. Okay. Then I'm going to take my wooden dowel. I'm going to use this like a rolling pin. And I'm just going to start rolling it out. If I get any areas where I'm kind of worried about them folding, just push them back down into your clay. And then I'm going to switch my clay so I can roll it the other way. I want it to stretch out evenly. You can do this with a rolling pin, but I wouldn't suggest any from your kitchen because then they'll have clay in them and all that kind of fun stuff. Be really careful as you get to the edges. It can be tempting to let it just slide off, but I wouldn't let it slide off the edges because then your edges will be thinner than the other parts of your clay. And now I'm going to check it from the side of the table. So I'm going to look down on the side and see where it is maybe a little bit too thick and needs to be thinned out a little. Now I must have done a good job wedging because I don't really see any bubbles, which is a good sign. All right, I think that's pretty even. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a rib. So you have a wooden rib, you have a rubber rib, you have a metal rib, and then if you don't have any of those three things, any sort of library card, key card will work. You need like a bendable flat surface, and what you can do is you're going to use that to smooth out your clay. Normally when you're smoothing out your clay like this, I wouldn't recommend a wet sponge because what it does is it takes the top layer off of your clay. I'm going to occasionally clean it out, make a little scrap pile. There we go. So it's nice and smooth on one side. And I want to check the other side too. Ooh, the other side's a little wonky. So this is where it's really helpful to flip it over and see, because if the back side looks bad, you want to make it nice all the way around. If you do any bubbles, so we'll pretend there's a bubble. If you do have any bubbles, you should pop them. So if you notice that there's like a little bubble sticking up, or if you notice that as you're smoothing things out, there's little parts that are moving back and forth like bloop, bloop, bloop. All you need to do is take your needle tool and you just poke into the bubble, release all the air, and then gently fill it in with clay so that there's no more bubble. And you can continue on your way. If you don't have a needle tool, you can use a paper clip. So paper clips work really well as substitutes for needle tools, because basically if you unstretch them, you have the same thing as a needle tool. For stuff like this, if I have a rubber or a metal rib, I prefer the metal rib because it is also flexible and gives me a nice smooth edge. And then if you notice that things are scratching, oftentimes it's just that your rib needs to be cleaned off on the edges, and cleaning the extra clay off should get rid of that. Then you should take, you can use a clay knife. You can use your plastic knife. You can also use a modeling tool. And then you should cut out whatever shape you're looking for. I like to make a template for all of my shapes because it just gives me a better idea of what I want. In this case, I am going to trace, well, maybe not that. I'm going to trace my water cup. So I'm going to use my needle tool or your paper clip. Trace around your cup or whatever you've decided shape you want to make. I like to draw it out first so I can make sure it's in the right place. I want to avoid doing it right on the edge because see these cracks? These cracks won't, you don't really want that on the edge of your artwork. So I do it kind of in the middle. And then I like to make a cut here. And then I start cutting all the way around. Now, what the knives do is they give you nice, clean cuts wherever they go. You don't really need a sharp knife to work with clay because clay is so soft. And I don't cut it all at once. And then I pull it away from the form. There we go. And then I can use my finger to kind of smooth around where I cut. Smooth out the top. Now you don't want to smooth your whole top after you do this. The reason I smooth it out before is because smoothing it out can sometimes stretch out the top a little bit. So if I had smoothed it out before or after, then I can be like kind of pushing this extra top layer out farther than I want it to. So I want all of my layers to be the same and I want this side profile to be the same. So I'm going to smooth it out before I trace and cut it out.